shut it down, man. They shut it down. No, to be quite honest with you, I think my computer just tanked out. Oh man, dude, we're having a rough time. Um, so I probably just lost everybody who was watching previously. But that's probably exactly what happened. Seems like I had an issue. I need to clean my storage out on my computer. Um, it was running slow before I even got anywhere close to getting to streaming. But part of that's probably because I've been doing and setting all these different appointments. That's why everything's kind of seemingly like that. Just make sure that the chat is going well. Okay, yeah, chat's working. Okay, nice to see you in there. I didn't have any analytics yet up there. I apologize for it busting down. I just named this one part two. Um, so we'll just we'll avoid holding multiple windows up at the same time. I didn't realize my computer was struggling like that. But we're going to get right into the heart of the matter here too, because I wanted to talk about the Thomas Massie versus everybody portion of this, which is the fact that you can't be principled. The overarching thing that we're seeing here is the fact that Trump says something, and then all of his reply guys, those in his super tight knit circle at the very top, they are right there, ready to go. Yes, definitely. Anything you say, Trump. They've abdicated nearly everything of their critical thinking ability to just, if Trump says it, that must be right, and if you oppose it, well, we're going to go after you. And so Thomas Massie, being the person that he is, that's exactly what we got. So we'll start here with being libertarian. I think that's the post here. Now go ahead and put it on screen here. Switch back over. They just posted everyone Massie over everybody voting for Johnson. I'll also move the chat back over here too. They'll be back in a minute. I do hope so. It's never a good sign to have it bop out like that quickly. But everybody, yes, Massie over everybody voting for Johnson. Now, one of the ones I want to highlight to give you an idea of what we're looking at here and what the opposition is actually going to come from DC Drano, which I thought was just aggressive. Let's see here. Miguel says, you cannot trust those whom never name the Jew. Yes. And you're 100% right. It's and if you weren't here, St. Michael, I did get demonetized. So it's, the gloves are off. As they say, the gloves are completely off. Yes, it's getting to a point where not only just what's happening with X with the H-1B visas, but obviously everything else that's come from that too previously, everything that's happened from October 7th, everything that we've talked about, right? You talk about all of the overrepresentation and owning in the porn industry, Hollywood, all of that. It is now finally gotten to the point, and I'm even taking the stance too. You discredit yourself as a commentator, as someone in the political space, when you absolutely refuse to even entertain having that discussion, or at least platforming the people who do, right? I think it's an immediate, like, automatic discreditation. And again, it goes to the tried and true, and I forget who said this too, but it rings true even today, and it will ring true years from now and into eternity. If you wish to know who rules over you, look to those you cannot criticize. And it seems to be, well, I guess if you use that on X recently, we were ruled by Indians, because seemingly that's the argument they're making of why nobody was allowed to say what they were. But to highlight this post in particular from DC Drano here, he says, "Good job, Massie. Per the usual, you engaged in a lot of self-serving theatrics. Nobody agreed with you, and you changed nothing." Wild. It's this pissed me off. Just reading it on its surface. But then you see his first comment there. He says he's nothing but a never Trump who keeps getting steamrolled. Simple as that. And that's what you're getting, right? You get these low IQ arguments of, this is why Thomas Massie did it. Oh yeah, he just hates Trump, man. And we're so far away from having a principle. These reply guys like DC Drano, the Laura Ingraham, and so many others, they just go straight to, well, if we don't play by the rules, right? Like what we were talking about previously, from people like Matt Gaetz and such, talking about anybody who tries to not vote Mike Johnson in, it's futile. We'll never get anybody else in. And it's like, these are the politicians telling the people like how to play the game, how to vote. And this is, again, People didn't vote for Trump to be like, play with the swamp, play ball with the swamp, Trump. Let's go do that. Like that's not what people voted Trump for, right? We voted for like, and quite frankly, the complete opposite of that. I got my glasses in too. I thought I could read chat, man, but my eyesight's just so terrible. I just don't want to look like a vape dad, as one of those guys put it the other day. Um, and I'm missing some of these here. Donnie says, "Dude, everyone's on the take. All the big conservative influencer accounts are shells." Yes, yes, 100% correct. Um, and even some of them, at this point, it seems like there's people who are just straight up Elon Musk shows. Like they'll flip flop no matter what. It just depends on if Elon Musk said it. House Leotardo says, "I don't think you're going to get monetized if you don't speak in codes." I think you're right, House. I think you're pretty positive on that. Um, Although at this point, though, I'd rather them just come out and say why what that reason would be. But I think at this point, where I am with my political commentary, I'm literally like I embody like 90 to 95% of what Nick Fuentes does, as well as everybody else in the dissident right. So I just think it's there's just really no way I can even exist here in the at all in the first place. I tried doing it, but couldn't even get to 1,000 subs. And that was ultimately always the goal, was to try to build up here on YouTube and then bounce off somewhere else, because I just like I didn't foresee it lasting long in the first place. Um, but as long as they don't ban the account, I guess I'll be here. Because obviously they're not taking it down right now. But if I get mass reported or bot reported, that's what we're going to be getting. So, but I appreciate it though. It will be I will be trying. I see. I do a good job on jar openers. Like, do I not? I think I do a really good job of self censoring on jar openers. Um, and then St. Michael says Mike Johnson's first active speaker was to send Israel money. Yeah, and I foresee that happening again in the future. I mean, how could you not? Um, I mean, I don't expect anything else. I mean, we even had, people, Trump, the Trumper base, like the close to him, like the DC Dranos, with the CR recently, where even Elon Musk posts like the big stack of paper to the smaller stack, and it's like they barely pulled any of the spending out. It was all still a bunch of the same funding that was there. It, I just like you get to a point where it's like I am so sick and tired of being lied to. I am so sick and tired of money being the only primary factor in somebody's having an opinion or not, or even if a sentiment or an idea is said. It's very irritating. It's very frustrating. Um, but again, I'm one of those people who's like very just like I can't I can't not try to be honest with myself. You're right. You are right. I think that's a good way. Them boys. That's a good one. I think that's how Myron says it. I think that's where I heard that from. First of all, them boys, and maybe you're right. Maybe I should try to do a bit better job of training myself to be able to at least exist in a meaningful sense, that is. And then you have Donnie saying, I keep saying them call Thomas Massie a rhino. He's basically the only Republican congressman without an APAC handler. I think he's like one, if not two or three. I think it's only like four of them. I think one of them being the squad, and a couple of them being from the squad, I believe, and then Thomas Massie, right? So like the super hardcore pro Palestinians, regarding the Israel-Gaza conflict, and then Thomas Massie. And it was kind of wild, and again, kind of wild, seeing how it was like a couple of days after he did that interview with Tucker Carlson that was floated around a lot, that his wife is dead. I think I think at least the timing in and of itself, at least the preponderance of circumstantial evidence would at least point to maybe there was something fishy there. But again, even voicing that opinion is enough to get you called anti-Semitic. House says, yeah, everyone, them boys, not sexy grandpa. Yeah, I know. Just that comment alone right there. I will not be putting them on. I will go blind before you call me sexy grandpa. No, I'm just kidding. I'll use them when I need them. They just make me feel they make me feel weak. It's like I put on the glasses and I'm not Superman anymore. I become Clark Kent. Then he says the truth is worth it. Can't trust anything nowadays. Unfortunately, everyone has a bias and a goal in their content they post and push. Yeah, cause it's all about gaming and being money. It's about making sure that you can revenue share. TNT, who's a normal viewer on jar openers, actually I had a tweet earlier and he responded to it. And I even said this guy, you know, DC Drano is one of these guys, S tier Elon Glazer, dude. Like that is all. That is his entire purpose, and his one principle is this going to allow me to earn revenue on the platforms that I exist on. It's all that is what his master is. He has no other principle but that, and it's kind of insane and enraging to see people like that. Then point to people like Thomas Massie who have done things on principle for Lord knows how long, to say he's just doing this because of this, and it's like, dude. But again, you know he's in with them boys, and that's just the reality of the situation. I honestly, like, I would be okay with where we are currently if it wasn't for the Elon Musk H1B immigration censorship aspect of everything. um but because that happened, I'm now at the point where it was like, if I would have known that this was going to be the result, literally not even like how far were we from Trump being president? Like almost like a couple weeks, and I would have just been like, who cares? Like, don't I would have been with Nick Fuentes, like, don't vote for Trump, dude. I'm not saying vote for Kamala, dude, but I'm like, dude, just don't, like it's all the same, dude. It's two wings of the same bird, dude. Like we're going literally nowhere. Honestly, like I might even take the position of let Kamala take over, and then maybe we will get an extreme fascist because she would have thrown the government into such a terrible situation. People would have been so bad that it would have been like, okay, dude, like we need a king, bring back monarchy, lead us with an iron fist, like because of this isn't it, man, and this isn't it, and we'll get later on to the H1B visa stuff too, but Trump kind of quadrupled down on his position there, which is ultimately agreeing with Elon. Which again, you know, Charlie Kirk, there looks like all these leftists are on here and these bot farms are here because they're trying to drive a wedge between Elon and Trump, and we won't let that happen. And it's like, dude, they agree. Like they literally agree, dude. Like even the fake kind of BS arguments they give as to why the opposition you see isn't real. It's like, dude, it takes someone with like 8 cents or eight pieces of common sense to be like, okay, no, like what? And it sucks too because Charlie Kirk's one of the people who at least speaks a lot more to Christianity in the conservative space. But again, the majority of the conservative space has taken on very Christless conservative positions. You have people like the James Lindsays, the Ashley St. Clairs, the 2012 liberals, as I call them, Constantine Conan, like. But this is ultimately the reality of the fact that the true right wing has not existed. Like they can't. I mean, look at me. You can't exist on this platform. You can't exist even in the conservative space on X, which is supposed to be the freest of all platforms. And then if you only exist on Rumble, your reach is very limited. So when people only consume Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube, and then you say something along the lines of like Christian nationalism, they're like, "Whoa, dude! Like I didn't think you were a Nazi." It's like, dude, like that's how far the discourse has gone. And I know most people, if not everyone here, already knows that. Um, but again, it makes it all the more reason important of like why you have to get even louder and be like we're not going away, and to point back the finger and be like, yeah, look, free speech until we disagreed. And what's even more pathetic is the fact that like Elon got ratioed and he was like, I'm gonna ban everyone. like he literally got ratioed. He got angry. I can just imagine him like out in public somewhere and he was like, wait a minute, did I just get ratioed? And he's like, he calls up Adrian Dittman and he's like, ban all of them. Like Adrian Dittman's like his consciousness uploaded to X, like not even a real person. No one's ever even seen this guy before. Dude, it's insane. And then the irony of the squad is that they're all ADO mouthpieces. Yeah, except I think a couple of them weren't. They are ADO mouthpieces, but a couple of them I think weren't. They're not backed by APAC. But again, if they are all funded and they get money and they help the ADL, well then it's like, what's the difference? Because that also is brought to you by them boys. I'm saying I'm getting better at it, house. Frida says Q said 97% of the government will be gone when it's drained. And I wish it would be. Part of me wishes that Q is real. Like, but I can't believe in these 19D chess moves anymore. I'm so, yeah. It's I don't want to feel super black pilled either, right? Like that the swamp won. But it's the river won't stop flowing in one direction. It is just nonstop going one direction. And what do you do? What do you do? You know, and I even liken this to the metaphor and the fact that it feels like your house got broken into. Like I thought this was a safe place we could all come. Like he was gonna, like Elon was gonna be like, you know what? Even if I disagree, I mean, I knew he would disagree on most of these right wing stuff, but I didn't think he would go so far as to like the debadging and outright being like, we're gonna do what Adpocalypse did with YouTube. You're not allowed here anymore. Like, yeah, say whatever you want, but only 3 people are gonna see it. Like, have fun with that. And it's like that's not censorship. And again, directly conflicting a lot of the things he said previously to that. I just like, you just can't make it up at a certain point. And maybe it's better to be at least realistic with it and be black pilled to a certain point and be like, hey, we're at least gonna view it as it is, and that way we can kind of maybe pragmatically figure out what to do with it. Um, and then he says he removed verifications is now teaching people to block unverified accounts. Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, and there's other obviously other mechanisms besides just the censorship that's going on. He even posted like there was an algorithm change based on the fact of, um, if big accounts and block you in a similar time frame, or enough big accounts block you, it effectively also shadow bans you. It also removes you off of the platform, which is again, you could have seen it coming. And then we'll go to this one too from Laura Ingraham, because I want to just show you some of these that were in direct opposition to Massie. I'm gonna make this like one thing bigger. There we go. It'll be easier to read the chat that way. I'm sorry, the font kind of like runs on top of itself. Maybe like that too. Um, but this is from Laura Ingraham, which I believe she's like a Fox lady. Yeah, Fox News. Freedom Caucus members who voted against Trump's choice for speaker should go back to their home districts, hold town halls, and explain to their constituents how helping Dems is the best course of action. And then one of the top comments here is hilarious. Like, Speaker Tiny Johnson hasn't helped Dems enough in the last year. What reality do you live in? What a joke. Um, and again, but 11,000 likes, dude. Not even 200,000 views, but 11,000 likes on a post like this. And it just is, we lost. Like critical thought lost this election. The ability to think for oneself lost. Like that's what really lost this election, was the ability to be like, maybe Trump isn't all that because of this and this. And it's like, dude, see, you must be a leftist. It's like, what? They've done so much to kind of ensure that the framing of our issues is only like one-sided. It's always them leftists out there that are doing it. And like, yeah, dude, the leftists are pretty insane, dude. They don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, this is no defense of a leftist, but it's also like there's way more nuance in every single one of these arguments that we have. There's way more problems than just the fact that it's like left-wing infiltrated. Like, we rarely talk about the fact of not only just like them boys, but the intel agencies like the FBI, the CIA, everything that goes along with that too, the deep state, the bureaucracy. Even in a similar light, you have like the Luigi Mangione in the United Healthcare situation, where you have people continually trying to frame our broken, in like not even just a broken healthcare system. If you just want to look at insurance as a whole and like the things they do with like PBM, which are like what are they called? The pharmacy something managers, and they do like kind of like these negotiations for the pricing. It's a busted system. It is broken. I would encourage actually anybody who's listening to this right now, afterwards, obviously, to listen to Tucker Carlson's recent interview he did with something Bueller. It was a guy who I think has worked with Joe Rogan and Aaron Rodgers, and he explains in detail a lot of what goes on behind the scenes, like the magic trick of insurance companies and like the disgusting stuff they do. It was extremely enlightening, and it kind of picks up off of the jar openers episode we had with the mole when we brought him on to talk about like all the different reasons like why healthcare is busted, and the way that he views it too. But again, to finish that point, it's more so they try to frame that it's like all these leftists are crazy for wanting to do that, and the United Healthcare CEO did nothing wrong. But it's like he's the CEO of a company, at one of the biggest companies that we know is not only engaged in doing illegal practice with their claim system with approval and denials, but also the insurance company, health insurance specifically, is a gigantic swamp feces pit of people who essentially kind of game a system with a lot of stuff that's backed up by state regulation and things of that nature too. It's But again, you have Ben Shapiro being like, and this is why it's right and left wing framed. And it's like, no, dude, it's like everyone, it's like nonpartisan. Everybody can agree that this is wrong. And, a lot of the same things here too. Like Thomas Massie obviously pointing out, most people don't want Mike Johnson in there. Um, you know it, I know it. Like Mike Johnson is not the guy for the job. He's like this weirdo, like fourth, he's like the third guy at the party. He's like, yeah, man, all the girls love me. And it's like, Elon and Trump are in front of him. It's like, it's just a joke. And to sit there and get mad at Thomas Massie because he's been Thomas Massie and he just like doesn't kiss the ring of Trump, to me it's quite honestly pathetic, and it's just greatly unnerving that so many of the top ring repeat it. But again, not surprised really. Let me put on grandpa glasses again too. I see the chats are coming in here. Let's see, make them a little bit easier to read here. Dude, I feel awful wearing with these glasses right now. And let's see here. Q is a game. Donnie says it was initially developed to Red Pill normies about Pizzagate and it got out of hand. Donnie would know a lot more about Q than me. And Tix is saying there are a lot of people putting Trump on a pedestal, and that's never a good thing, generally speaking. 100%. It's happening to a degree in which I think is it's went beyond disturbing. It's like the way that they're kind of spoken about is it's like a sin. It's like, I think Trump is wrong on that. And they're like, heresy, dude. Get out of here, you heretic. And that's kind of similar to what Laura Ingraham and DC Drainer are doing with this, highlighting Thomas Massie there. And then, yeah, it looks like you're talking about Q is there too. They see that's going to get me in trouble as well too. You guys are putting too many topics on my plate that's going to get me even suspended or something from YouTube. But to move on to a different point here, is Jesse Kelly was actually super sarcastic, and I actually appreciated almost every single one of these tweets he put up here. I'll start with this one if it loads. And he's like, Thomas Massie replied to it too. But he says, tired of these rhinos like Thomas Massie getting in the way of steel-spined conservative warriors like Mike Johnson, America first. And he's like, sassy was Massie. I like it. And he had a number of these too. People were getting so irritated because they couldn't pick up the sarcasm. Here's another one. He put a string of them. That was this guy is saying, was Mike Johnson putting America first when he agreed to give Ukraine billions without consent? And Jesse said, that was such a long time ago. This is a totally new Mike Johnson. And this guy is taking no prisoners. Get behind him. He's our General Patton. He leads, we follow. Megan. Oh, dude, he was nailing it earlier with these. And let me get to this third one here. And this one's good too. He says, anyone trying to stop Mike Johnson from leading the charge is a rhino. I don't want to hear about things like voting records. All that matters is getting behind Mega Mike. And I think the tweet of the day though, Jesse had some good ones, but this is the tweet of the day. The APAC tracker, Mossad Mike. like that's a good one. That's a good one. I don't even know if this photo is real, to be honest with you. It probably is. I didn't know it even existed until I saw it earlier today. But there's Mike Johnson, almost $1 million from the Israel lobby, bribed by AIPAC to put Israel first. And yep, I feel like Lindsey Graham. Isn't that crazy thing with Thomas Massie? But like, what about Israel though? Like it's like it's just. But all roads, all rivers. It's like if I had to pick one thing that it seemed like everything felt like it ran to and connected to, it would be them boys, man. And it's just like I don't even know what else to say. Right? It's like after a certain point, it's like this is kind of where I view it. I think everybody kind of knows that too. But I think that was the tweet of the day. # bribed by APAC. I wish it would go away. I really do. But one last thing here with the Thomas Massie aspect, was this thing that Thomas Massie highlighted. I don't know who Olivia Beavers is, but she says, Scoop, a group of conservatives and potential opposition votes against Mike Johnson are circulating a document laying out a scorecard that lists multiple failures. Get out of here. Lists multiple failures of the 118th Congress. So I'll go ahead and put this up. It says the author remains unnamed. It hits talking points being shared by Johnson's critics ahead of the January 3rd vote. I'm assuming the author was obviously Thomas Massie. How Republicans have repeatedly added to the nation's debt, passed aid to Ukraine without the support of the majority, of the GOP majority, and reauthorized FISA. In particular, they took issue with how the latest government spending bill was handled ahead of the Christmas holiday. And so just to highlight this here, oh man, it's going to be harder to read on there. We'll just keep it like this. I'm not sure how well people can read that in there. But yeah, dad glasses are coming back on. And so they're talking about since November 5th, this first bullet point here, Republicans added over $300 billion in additional spending to the deficit and hastened Social Security insolvency by at least 6 months. So obviously breaking Social Security earlier, obviously not going to be able to keep up with the amount of money that we're in debt by. And the week before Christmas alone, Republicans violated the 72-hour rule, which is designed to ensure we read bills not once but twice, had to pull down a 1,500 page, then that's the CR, that contained a large number of extraneous provisions and some positive things I put there, due to disastrous legislative process under which it was crafted by the Speaker, again, Mike Johnson. It added $110 billion to the deficit, no offsets, to give the Biden administration more funding weeks before Republicans take control in January. It divided unnecessarily Republicans and President Trump regarding his correct desire to clear the deck of the debt ceiling because leadership never shared it with the GOP conference, leaving only 48 hours to negotiate. Now, again, some of these things here are obviously swamp mechanics. Now, I think anyone would be right to oppose Mike Johnson, and I don't even care if that results in a Hakeem Jeffries speaker. I think no matter what, you got to stand on principle. I get the pragmatics of it, but I think if you're always going to say play the game, you'll never stop playing the game. Especially when like I have no right. The show me something, right? Show me that we're going to end this playing this game. I'm not seeing it. I just see continually always this kind of capitulation, compromise. This is why we need to play the game. But they go on with the summary here. I believe it's just this one page. It might be longer, but at least it's the most important page. Since November 2023, we passed $61 billion for Ukraine with zero border security policies, despite repeated promises to secure the border. $1.2 trillion FY24 spending bill that funded the DHS with no border security policies in violation of the Hastert rule. And the 72-hour rule, which is the one that they have to read it. You can't pass within that many hours because you have to have time to read the bill. $500 billion FY24 spending bill under suspension of the rules, with significantly more Democrat votes than Republicans. Passed 5 separate continuing resolutions under suspension of the rules, each with more Democrat votes than Republican votes, and the final of which included the $110 billion in supplemental appropriations. And then it says they passed an NDAA that has jettisoned most conservative wins to restore the Pentagon's focus by suspension of the rules with more Democrat votes than Republican votes. They passed a FISA reauthorization, which failed to include a warrant requirement, and they passed a bill that added $195 billion to the deficit and hastened Social Security insolvency by suspension of the rule. So, I mean, every single piece of this is just like, this is why we're putting Mike Johnson back in. Crazy enough that you get the Laura Ingrahams of the world who are like the people who didn't want Mike Johnson in the office or in the chair. Go home to your constituents and tell them why you're helping the Democrats. And it's like, dude, they're not trying to vote in a guy who clearly has helped and benefited the Democrats. Like, but again, we're moving to the point where you can't even say anything bad about the woke, because the argument against the woke is like, they do whatever the cult tells them, whatever the mob tells them, right? The death march of the ants. But here we are as these mega, more honestly, the Trumpers are, we will do anything as long as Trump says it. And if that's becoming your foundational principle, then it's like, I'm not listening to that. It's entirely same thing with the left, the woke mob, that is absent a critical thought process. And then you try to eat your own people if they oppose you on principle, like Thomas Massie. It's like, and it's so see-through because Thomas Massie is somebody who has so clearly always been very, very consistent on what he's very against, right? He's somebody who even made like debt badges, which are like these special clocks that have like the debt on there and like how long it's being risen by, and he's an engineer, he made it himself. Um, like you're not fooling anybody. At least nobody with higher than a room temperature IQ. But it's forgive me, I'm like having a hard time talking. It I guess I'm not getting shocked anymore. I'm not surprised anymore. Um, this seems to be where we have moved as a party. Um, this seems to be where we are with the H-1B visas as well. Um, I heard somebody also say, it's probably a good idea we start saying things like President Musk, or just small pushbacks like that. It's going to damage ego from Trump. But with Thomas Massie, this is in my opinion, the best person who's left in Congress. Now that Matt Gaetz is out. And I think he clears Matt Gaetz by a good head and shoulders. And when you have all of these again Republican reply guys coming out and saying like, yeah, Thomas Massie just hates Trump. He's never been behind Trump, and it's like I'm only behind Trump because it's pragmatic, right? Like it's like he's clearly better than Kamala, but like I don't agree with him on a lot of things, especially social politics, and and ultimately it falls on its face, and it's so easy to see through it. And it's hard to even say it's disappointing because it gets so commonplace now for the way that these people act. Um, but that's where we are, and that's where we're moving. And so I think I just saw Donnie's got to leave. Yeah, take care, brother. No phones at the dinner table. Um, he catch back up on some of these comments. I didn't know how to research anything. Everyone hated Mike Johnson until they were told not to. Yes, it was a good tool for that, and it made fun of people to wake up. Always talking about Q. I can't stand Mike Johnson. Douglas says, glad to see it fired up again. Yes, ma'am. I really don't know what happened. I think my computer just took a dump. Google said bad sign to see Mike slithered his way back in. Yeah, exactly. And then Frida says, although they were trying to get us to save ourselves, but it starts locally and people still don't go to council meets or school meets. Adam has two hands says, I don't think I've ever seen a decent majority whip or speaker in my lifetime. And I will say, I think that maybe even like the best point to make out of this too is like it wouldn't even really matter who we end up placing there because it's just going to be a position that it is primed to have to compromise. It's primed to have to do deals. It's primed to have to operate within bureaucracy, operate within the swamp mechanics, and play ball with the swarmy elitists. It's you're never you could put the best person you want in there, and they'll end up becoming one of the worst people. They'll get all the negative flack. It's where you want to go if your career dies, if you want your career to die. Um, but to have these arguments then to like defend Mike Johnson, it's like you just got to say like, yeah, like Mike Johnson's not the best, but Trump's putting his way behind him. It's like I guess we'll take what we want, but you can't even get that. You get like wow, you post Trump, like dude, like I guess you're not MAGA, huh? It's like dude, it's so insufferable. It's so female framed way to disagree. It's words that I'm not going to say right now because I don't want to be too impolite. Um, but again, I'm getting pretty used to it, man. And I'll go ahead and knock some of these tabs out here. I wanted to move over to Bernie Sanders before I start running out of time. Again, I want to make sure my manager didn't get a hold of me. I do have to do this. I do have to do this appointment. Um, so one of the things here, let me go to the Bernie Sanders is right. To get to this point here. Bernie Sanders is outflanking Elon Musk and Trump on the issue of H-1B visas, and it's just one of them things, man. Where what's the right word? I obviously the censorship and everything going on. I kind of alluded to it. Like I'm a Bernie bro now. I'll take anything, right? Like I'm the person who's like I don't like. I really don't have much of like it's the politics isn't for friends, right? It's like I'm voting with him because he's my friend. It's like no, I'm voting with this person or this person because they're saying the right thing, and I believe that to be true. And like so, one person could say something right this time. It's like yeah, I agree with that person, and then they say something wrong the next time. It goes yeah, I don't think you're right that time. Obviously, there's like patterns that develop there where the same people chant the same things and the same rhetoric, and after a period of time, you go yeah okay, this person seems to be a bad faith actor. Um, or you just like it's a back and forth. Some people are spot on sometimes. Some people have better areas of expertise. It's just like that. That's just the way that things operate. But it's crazy to see that the development here with Bernie Sanders. I might have to keep my glasses on, man. I wish I wasn't blind, but my contacts aren't in. I gotta make sure I'm not missing some. Also, Adam has two hands. I think I missed a few years. I think YouTube kind of knocked those out. I apologize. I did see the one that was in there. Tix did say the only thing that changes is who get to be a good or bad guy. The speaker decides which bill sees the floor. Yeah, right. Um, and I think ultimately if you could get a good speaker in there, and he was Republican, he would always deny anything that was ever brought up by Democrats. He'd find a way to be like, yeah, let me just like oh the you want to like you want climate change over here, like let me RKO that bill for a second, boom, like get this out of here, dude. Never want to see that stuff again. But I just don't see it happening. I don't have that much faith in any politician, to be quite frank with you. Google says, so happy to see you acknowledge me, Atlas. Thank you. I tend to be overlooked on the jar stream. Yeah, I apologize if that's the case. I actually have no control over the jar opener stuff, like any of the controls on the comments or anything. So maybe World doesn't like you. maybe World sees you and he's like, I'm never going to show your comments on there. no, no, I doubt it. But yeah, no. If I had control, I'd only be showing my people. I'd be like, actually, it's my show now. No, I'm just messing. But yeah, I don't have any controls over that. You got to just start like adding Worrell and be like, hey, dude, are you scared of me or something? Do something like that. Big Farmer says, Moneybag Socialist Bernie, my fave. Yeah, right. Yeah, he did. I feel terrible about the Bernie Sanders, the absorption of him into the swamp. They had to do something for him. Peter says he was quite happy to put a 1,500-page omnibus on the floor when they were saying single bills only, and that's the point, right? That's the point. Is who was the person who repeatedly said single bills every single time, right? Thomas Massie. You know what didn't get done when there's all these other Republicans in office? Single bills. And then it comes to the time to put all this ridiculous garbage in place. They go, man, dude, Thomas Massie's being really hard to deal with. Like, does he just hate Trump or something? It's like, dude, that only works if you're not paying attention and you're retarded, to be quite frank with you. I think everyone else kind of sees through that. Yes, also, thank you, Cooklet, for the Orthodox vids very much. So, Bernie was too easily bought twice over. And then Bernie is one of my favorite hypocrites because he does make some good points here and there, but you just can't take someone like him serious, which is true. Well, I think at a certain point, you can't take anybody that's like super old that serious either. It's like, it's a good chance they're not going to be lucid in a very short period of time. But I'll go ahead and put this up on screen here. This is from Homath, too, of all people. But it's funny because Stone Toss Comics made this, and they posted, the libertarian, and he's pulling on one side, and with him is Bernie Sanders. But then they look across the other side, and it's Elon Musk and Vivek like pulling against them. But to go to Bernie Sanders' specific post here, this is the one that got 26 million views because people were kind of shocked that he even posted it. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger too, so people can read that. And he says Elon Musk is wrong. The main function of the H-1B visa program is not to hire the best and the brightest, but rather to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. And so obviously he's like, the billionaires, and people always point out too, he used to say like the millionaires, but that changed when he became a millionaire. So now it's just the billionaires, kind of like he had to change frames so he wasn't in his own reticle or his own frame of sight or vision. And it's kind of crazy too because we can even kind of sort this. This is mine. I was like a Maya Bernie bro now with Vegeta pointing there. I thought I could actually sort this by maybe I can't. Thought I could sort replies. I would have done that if I was on mobile. It looks like I can't. Maybe I can. Yeah, I can. It's like I definitely thought I could do that before because I want to see like the most. Yeah, this is the one that I wanted to see. Oh my god, it's Bernie with the steel chair. It's Bernie Photoshop with the steel chair. Like he's gonna come out and like hit Trump or something. It's it was funny to me. So even if you think it's for malicious reasons or like his heart's not in the right place for the reason why he's saying that, ultimately he's correct overall with the fact that the H-1B visa program is specifically to guarantee that they can maintain profit margins and maintain pay on contracts that don't need to be negotiated for long periods of time, because it's obviously easier to manipulate, control, um, and maybe they even have even more harsher, more malicious reasons. Like, I'm finding it easier and easier to actually assign malice to some of these people as well, the way they kind of act, because just it's hard not to. I forget the law, but it tells you, do not attribute to malice that which can be explained by ignorance. I'm beginning to think it's the opposite of that. It's like, do not attribute ignorance to that which can be explained by malice, because it seems to be that there is a consistent pattern of just like pretending the American people don't exist and then knifing them in the back at the highest leverage point possible. And I thought that was pretty funny. Another point here from Gabe Gidari. Don't know him very well, but I have seen his stuff before. And he says, if we as Republicans let Bernie Sanders outflank us on protecting American workers, we deserve to lose. And I think that's true. I think ultimately we get outflanked. I mean, we get outflanked by Bernie Sanders. It's like, okay, dude. like there's a certain point where it's like, yeah, we've compromised on a lot to just like, too big to rig and be like um this very like all encompassing group. And I think a lot of that's the strategy that they just kind of laid forth, because obviously the left was getting so ridiculous that you just want to kind of cast your net as wide as possible and catch all these people. But ultimately, that's what's lended to the fact of like, you have Vivek saying like, come on over to the Republican Party. We want as many homosexuals as we can. And it's like, it's like, man. Then obviously that extends to other avenues too. That's not normally conservative, let alone not Christian at all. Um, and they did so in an effort to be this big tent conservatism. But at a certain point, you widen the pool so big, and then it begins to get extremely shallow, and then there's really no depth to it or substance. And now you're trying to appease everybody in here. And the way that they seemingly talk about it and want to do it is they treat Christians and those who are a lot more right wing, a lot further right wing, as being in the minority. When it seems to be on something like H-1B visas, that's definitely not the case. It seems that the majority of people in this discussion, seeing how Elon's been ratioed multiple times on it, you even have Sam Hyde of all people coming out and making a very serious, like long video letter to Elon Musk that had like multiple million views. It's clear that there is a majority idea here that we are all against. The American interest is against H-1B visas. But then again, they do so in this argument of like, what does it mean to win? Like, we need to win. We got to beat China, and it's like, yeah, at the cost of importing the rest of the world in here, and still jumping over, leapfrogging over American citizens and people who have been shunned and pushed into a corner because like we don't hire white men. Everything that's along with those lines too. It's just like it's again, it's infuriating, I think, to everybody, but to act as if it's not like a majority position to be against that too is, I think, is just a wild thing, because it's not every day you see Elon Musk getting ratioed. So if you see him getting ratioed, it must mean that there is a large portion of people that are in there that are clearly upset with what's going on in that discussion. But I think I left some comments behind here. Let me go back up here. I apologize. Let me find this here. Forgive me, man. I feel old right now. Douglas says, yeah, for some reason, it doesn't read my stuff out. It's okay. I'm here for you and supporting your energy. Bernie just wants some Elon money. That could be true. Well, he's opposing Elon right now, so he's gonna get debadged and he's gonna get suspended. He's gonna get suspended. Bernie ratioed Elon. Now he's gone, dude. You're out of here, Bernie. You're gonna get your government account shut down. House says unregulated globalization, mass immigration, the free movement of labor is paid for by the lower classes. This is the traditional left wing position. Oh my gosh, it jumped down. Apologize. Yes. Let's see. Tix was laughing. Douglas says, I made channel my page on Discourse because I've seen that, man. Enjoying them. They've become brazen and emboldened. They're untouchables. What is up, World? World, I'll have to message you right after this because I got some bad news. House said, 07, Tyler, he's sick. Yeah. Everybody pray for Tyler and World and America First TV. He's been pretty sick. I think he's on like day 5 or day 6. Probably gonna have to go to the hospital if it don't get better, at least figure out what's going on. He said it's the mist, fear the dew. Frida said, I got suspended from X for calling a lefty an idiot. An idiot, never went back. I've said a lot of worse things than that, and I've not been touched yet. So we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't bode well right now, man. Um, but just wanted to highlight too the fact that Trump has quadrupled down on them. Um, Highlighting again another post that from the New York Post, which was the article that initially had the phone call talking about how Trump had he uses H-1B visas himself. Um, and I just there's no other way to kind of this is how I'll end it, because this is ultimately this right here is the no better way to explain it but this right here. I'll go ahead and let it play out.
Sorry. Thank you for your vote. Now go fuck yourself. That's the message from the Republican Party for the next 4, 8, 16, 100, 1,000 years. Thank you for your vote. Now go fuck off until the next election.
And that's what it feels like. I I'm gonna be honest. It's exactly what it feels like. I think most people feel that way. I think it's even exemplified much more on X. Um, Again, and I don't even feel fooled really. I just feel more disappointed than fooled. A lot of this was the reason why I kind of was hesitant in the first place of even voting for Trump. I did so pragmatically just because he's better on the surface than Kamala. But I never really held that fervor for him. Obviously, I'd support him in these, BS um, lawsuits. Obviously, would hold him and defend him in all these ridiculous, like the assassination attempts. But when it comes to expecting that he's going to hold water for like how deep my conservative views run, it was never there. This guy has always been like, he was a New York Democrat. If anything, it's like we barely agreed even 20 years ago. But because the Overton window has shifted so absurdly in one direction, it's pretty easy for someone to come out here and say some common sense. It's like, you get cheered on. You're like, men aren't women though. And people are like cheering in the stands. And it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, like I think most people with a brain can agree with that, but like there's a lot more depth that goes beyond there too. Um, and another thing I did want to highlight too, and I didn't realize I was already running to about be 7:30. I'm about to jump off here to get ready for the appointment. Is Myron Gaines highlighting the fact that Steven Crowder has come into the argument, quoting Elon, saying, where Elon says exactly, the First Amendment is protection for free speech, not paid speech. Steven says this is verbatim the argument YouTube used to justify the adpocalypse. And he's not wrong, and that's exactly what we saw there. I'm just glad that he came in and joined the fight. Steven Crowder again is somebody who I respect a lot more than a lot of these, just bootlicking mega sellout shills who were just anything that Trump says you have to agree with. Myron says, and he's one of the ones who was recently debadged, same with his golden check mark, eliminated from his Fresh and Fit channel. Says, yep, Elon is going down a slippery slope by censoring some, but not all. It's free speech absolutism or not. I'm glad Crowder is calling out Elon Musk's bullshit. And so that is where I will go ahead and put a pin in everything. I'll go ahead and begin to wind it down. Just want to leave you with the fact that I'll figure out next steps for myself. I'll probably stay on YouTube for as long as they allow me to. Again, should be a part of Jar Openers tomorrow. But again, I got to send Worrell a message about me being demonetized. And what the effects of that will be. just figure things out on that end. I may move to an X only persona. I may move to trying to multi-stream on multiple places. We'll just see what happens with that. But make sure you stand up for yourselves. You have to make sure you stand up for yourselves. Otherwise, your will, your family, your people will be dictated by all that would be by these billionaires, as we see so clearly right now. But I do want to say, everybody who is sick, definitely be what's the right word? Get better. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, plenty of rest. Everything else that you can do to kind of mitigate against that too. I know it's that time of the year. It's especially with the cold weather out right now. It's awful on your lungs. Try not to breathe too much of it in. People are saying that stuff about Nick. They demonetized me. Yeah, it is some BS. People might be here who wasn't here at the beginning. My stream crashed earlier too, so the second part of it. Yeah, I got demonetized. They gave me no reason outside of the fact that I reuse content. Um, I have to post an appeal by the 22nd of January. I will let everybody know how that goes. They obviously didn't suspend the channel, but they definitely demonetized it. And what sucks too is I was like literally like super close to being able to get my first payout as well. And it's all gone. So anybody who sent a super chat in the last couple weeks, just know that YouTube stole that money. They have it now. Um, uh, yeah, just the way that it goes. I always knew it was a possibility. I'm pretty explicit. Maybe House is right. I should do a better job of speaking in codes, and avoiding that. But again, truth matters to me. That's just where I'm at. I know there's probably a smart way to go about it. Maybe that was dumb of me. Um, so we'll see with that though. What I will leave you with though too is definitely get involved on X if you can. I know people were saying that they got banned, but just do your best to just try to stay in the conversation. Watch how these people act, even if you don't engage or post yourself. Just generally like lurking around and seeing how people interact with each other and seeing the way that it goes back and forth. Um, you'll begin to kind of notice some patterns that you might not normally notice otherwhere on other platforms, especially when they don't engage with each other. But being able to see how the different commentators interact with each other is been one of the more enlightening things about almost all political discourse here, especially because you can see pretty easily if people are walking the walk and talking the talk, or if it's just one of the two. But with that, Christ is King. I appreciate everybody for being here and joining. I know we didn't get to cover much. I apologize for the stream breaking down. Just want to say, I guess I'm a Bernie bro now. I will take anybody who doesn't want H-1B visas. That's where I'm at right now. And yeah, demonetizing everybody but lefties. Yeah, that seems to be where it's at. But everybody have a good night. I may stream even a little bit later too, just to try to figure out some stuff with X possibly, or set up a Rumble channel. But again, best way to get a hold of me too is in the Discord. Obviously, I'm not demonetized on Discord, so reach out to there too. That way you can see where I'm posting at. X is probably the best backup right now. It's where I'm like the most active outside of YouTube. Be safe if anyone's traveling. I know we're supposed to get a winter storm in. That's the reason why I will be available tomorrow. Actually, it's because I'm not going to the Christmas because of that. But with that, I appreciate everybody who was here. Have a good time. I will continue to do this work as much as I possibly can, no matter if I get demonetized or not, because it's just what I am passionate about. But thanks everybody, and take care. Be safe, and Christ is King. Go to church, and just have fun. Don't be black pilled. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.